All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. Today, we're going deep on a topic that a lot of you have been asking about, how to really make it as a seller on Mercari.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy to it.
For sure. And to help me break it all down, I've got an expert here who's going to walk us through all the ins and outs, all the tips and tricks.
Happy to be here. Yeah, I think one of the first things to really wrap your head around with Mercari is that it's very much a buyer-centric platform.
Yeah.
Like they really prioritize making the buyer feel safe and protected, which means you, as a seller, kind of have to go the extra mile.
So it's not just like, oh, I've got this thing in my closet. Let me just snap a quick pic and throw it up there.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely more than that. We're going to talk about like how to make your profile look professional, your listings really stand out, and get those buyers clicking buy instead of just scrolling on by.
Perfect. Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's start with like the basics. Setting up shop, our profile. What are some of the must-dos there?
Okay, well, think of it this way. When you walk into a store and it's like messy and dimly lit, you probably just turn around and walk right out.
Yeah, not a good first impression.
Exactly. Your Mercari profile, that's your storefront. So first impressions matter a lot online.
Okay, that makes sense. So what makes a good profile?
Well, first off, you need a good profile picture. Something clear, headshot, where you look friendly, approachable, trustworthy.
Gotcha. So not a picture of my dog then.
Uh-huh. Probably not the best choice. And then your bio. Don't just write, like, stuff for sale.
Right, keep it professional.
Yeah. Highlight your experience. Reassure buyers that you're reliable. You offer good service. You could say something like, experienced seller with 5-star ratings. I offer fast shipping and great communication.
It's like a little mini resume.
Pretty much. You're letting buyers know what to expect.
Oh.
Okay, so now that you've got your shop set up, let's talk about the listings themselves, because this is where the magic happens.
All right, bring on the magic. I'm ready to make my listings pop.
Okay, well, first things first, those blurry phone pics, gotta ditch those.
Yeah, we need to up our photography game.
Right. If you're serious about this, consider getting a light box, especially if you're selling smaller items.
Oh, a light box. I've heard of those. What's so special about them?
It gives you that, like, soft, even lighting, minimizes shadows, makes the colors pop. It just looks way more professional, like a studio shot.
So it's not just about good lighting, it's about consistent good lighting.
Exactly. Buyers want to see exactly what they're getting. And don't forget, you can use multiple photos. Take advantage of that. Show the item from different angles, close-ups, maybe even some lifestyle shots so people can envision themselves using it.
Okay, so like if I'm selling a handbag, I'd show the whole bag. Then close-ups of the details, the stitching, maybe a shot of someone holding it.
Exactly. You got it. And here's a pro tip. When you're taking pictures, put like a coin or a ruler in the frame just for scale.
Oh, that's smart because we've all ordered something online that turned out to be way smaller than we thought.
Totally. Setting those expectations is key. And speaking of expectations, be upfront about any flaws. If there's a scratch or a stain, take a clear picture of it.
Honesty is the best policy, right?
Definitely. It builds trust with buyers and helps you avoid returns later on. So great photos, check. Now let's talk descriptions. Words matter.
Oh yeah, time to channel my inner Shakespeare. Okay, give me the inside scoop on writing descriptions that sell.
All right, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. They're searching for something specific. Your description needs to give them all the info they need.
So more than just like black boots, I'd say women's size 8 black leather ankle boots with a side zipper, excellent condition.
Now you're talking brand, model, size, color, condition, material, if it's handmade, vintage, anything like that, put it all in there.
Okay, taking notes. And what about those long tail keywords I keep hearing about?
You're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, using those longer, more specific phrases can really help people find your listing.
So instead of toy car, I'd write vintage 1960s red convertible toy car, die-cast metal. Bingo! That's how people actually search. So now the algorithm is more likely to show your listing to the right people.
Okay, let's talk money. Pricing. How do we find that sweet spot? Where we're making a profit but not scaring buyers away.
All right, here's where you got to do a little detective work. Before you price anything, look at sold listings for similar items. It'll give you a good idea of what buyers are actually paying.
So like seeing what's actually selling, not just what people are asking.
Right, and pay attention to the condition. A like-new item is going to go for way more than something that's, well-loved.
Okay, so condition is a big factor. What else should we think about when we're setting our prices?
Shipping costs.
Yeah.
Will you offer free shipping, or will the buyer pay? Factor that in. And here's a pro tip. Price your items a little bit higher than your absolute bottom line.
Oh, interesting. Leaving room for negotiation.
Exactly. People on Mercari, they expect to haggle a bit, so give yourself some wiggle room.
I like it. All right, so shop is set up, listings are looking good, prices are strategic. What about getting those items to our buyers? Let's talk shipping.
All right, shipping. Mercari actually makes it pretty easy with their prepaid shipping labels.
Mhm.
Unless you have a specific reason to do it yourself, like you've got a way better rate, I'd say stick with Mercari's system.
So less hassle, and we're protected if anything goes wrong.
Exactly. You get discounted rates, automatic tracking, and, peace of mind.
That's worth a lot. So we're printing those labels. What about packaging? We don't want anything getting damaged in transit.
Right. Packaging is key. Use good quality boxes, bubble wrap, all that good stuff. Not only does it protect the item, but it also shows the buyer that you care.
It's like a little present.
Yeah.
All right, so the item's shipped, on its way to the buyer. What's next?
Now comes the hustle part.
Game on. I'm ready to hustle. What does that look like at this stage?
Fast responses. Whether it's answering questions or giving shipping updates, be responsive. It shows you're professional and reliable.
It's all about customer service, right? Making the buyer feel good about their purchase.
Exactly. And be prepared to negotiate a little, but know your bottom line. Once something sells, ship it quickly, provide tracking info. All those little things add up to happy buyers.
And happy buyers leave good reviews, right?
They do. Reviews are like gold on Mercari. They build trust with future buyers.
Okay, so reviews are important. Any tips on, encouraging people to leave them without being too pushy?
Yeah. Once the buyer receives the item, send them a friendly message, check if they're happy with everything. And then if they are, you can gently suggest they leave feedback.
Like, hey, if you have a moment, I'd really appreciate a review. It helps other buyers feel confident about my shop. Something like that.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Polite, helpful, not pushy at all. Now, what about those listings that just aren't selling? What can we do to give them a little boost?
Well, Mercari's algorithm, it loves fresh content. So relisting items regularly can really help. You could also slightly lower the price. That often gets people's attention.
So playing the algorithm a little bit. A little bit, yeah. It's all about staying visible. And here's another strategy. Bundling.
Bundling, that sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Basically, you're selling multiple items together, like clothing items of the same size or style, or books by the same author, things like that.
So creating little mini collections.
Yeah, exactly. Buyers feel like they're getting a better deal, and you get to sell more stuff.
Win-win. I like it.
Now, I know we've been focusing on the positives here, but let's be real. Selling on Mercari, sometimes there are bumps in the road.
Yeah, not everything goes smoothly all the time.
Right, like what happens when sales are slow, or you get a return, or even a dispute.
Those don't sound fun at all.
They're not. But don't worry, we're going to dive into all that in the next part of our deep dive. We'll give you all the tools you need to handle those tricky situations like a pro. So stay tuned.
All right, so before we get to all those pro tips for boosting our sales, we got to talk about the not so fun stuff. The challenges that pop up sometimes when you're selling online.
Yeah, definitely. Because not every sale is going to be smooth sailing. You might hit a slump, get a return request, maybe even have to deal with a dispute.
Okay, those definitely don't sound like fun. But I'm guessing there are ways to, navigate these situations without totally freaking out.
Absolutely. The key is to stay calm, know your rights as a seller, and have a plan. So let's start with slow sales. You've followed all the advice, your listings are looking great, but the buyers just aren't biting.
Yeah, I think we've all been there at some point. What's the first thing we should do?
Okay, well, first of all, don't panic. It happens. Take a step back and look at your listings with fresh eyes. Are the photos still good? Is your description clear and detailed? Is the pricing still competitive?
It's like giving those listings a little refresh.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about the algorithm? Relisting your items often can give them a boost. Or you could try lowering the price a little bit. Sometimes that's all it takes to get things moving.
Okay, those are good tips. What about promoting listings? Is that something we can do on Mercari?
Yeah, actually, Mercari has a promote feature that lets you pay to boost your listings. You can always promote on your own social media too. Just make sure you're targeting the right people.
Got it. All right, let's move on to returns. I know for a lot of sellers, those can be the worst. What's the best way to handle a return request?
The most important thing is to know Mercari's return policy inside and out, because they tend to side with the buyer in most cases.
So even if we're not thrilled about the return, we got to handle it professionally.
Exactly. Respond to the buyer quickly, politely, try to understand their issue. Sometimes a simple apology or a partial refund can go a long way.
Okay, so turning that negative experience into something a little less negative, is there anything we can do to, like, prevent returns in the first place?
Honestly, the best thing you can do is be super detailed in your listings. Good photos, accurate measurements, clear descriptions of the item's condition. The more info you provide up front, the less likely you are to have surprises later on.
Makes sense. All right, let's talk about the dreaded D word, disputes. What happens when a buyer files a dispute?
Okay, deep breaths. It's not the end of the world. The first thing you should do is try to communicate with the buyer directly. A lot of times, you can work things out just by talking.
It's like those customer service training videos. Stay calm, listen, and try to find a solution.
Exactly. But if you can't reach an agreement with the buyer, that's when you get Mercari involved. They have a whole dispute resolution process where their team reviews the case and makes a decision.
So it's like Mercari is the judge. Is there anything we should do to, like, prepare for that?
Yeah, definitely. Gather any evidence you have, photos, messages with the buyer, tracking information, anything that supports your side of the story.
Okay, it's like building a case for Mercari court. So we've got disputes, but what about negative reviews? Those can really hurt, even if they're not fair.
Oh, I know. Negative reviews are tough, but the worst thing you can do is, like, lash out or get defensive.
Right, gotta stay professional.
Exactly. Take some time to cool down and then respond publicly and politely. Address the buyer's concerns, apologize if it's appropriate, and offer a solution if you can.
Okay, so taking the high road, showing everyone that you're a responsible seller. Is there anything, like, positive that can come out of a negative review?
Believe it or not, yeah, sometimes. Because a negative review can actually be a chance to learn and grow. Maybe there's something you could do to improve your process or communication. And one bad review doesn't mean your business is doomed. Just focus on providing great service to everyone else, and those positive reviews will outweigh the negative ones.
That's a good way to look at it. Now, I know online selling can be a little risky sometimes. Are there any scams we should watch out for on Mercari?
Unfortunately, yeah, there are scams on pretty much every platform these days. So on Mercari, some red flags to watch out for are like fake payment notifications, people asking you to communicate outside of the Mercari app, or those overpayment schemes.
So if someone says they paid, but the money isn't showing up in my Mercari account, that's a bad sign.
Huge red flag. Always stick to Mercari's system for communication and payments, and never, ever ship an item before you've received the money through Mercari.
Got it. Stay safe. Expert speaker, it's been really helpful talking about all these potential challenges. But is there, like, a positive takeaway here?
Absolutely. Because even though challenges can be frustrating, they can also make you a better seller. You learn how to adapt, how to communicate better, how to be more resilient.
It's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more challenges you overcome, the more confident and successful you'll become as a Mercari seller.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered the basics, we've talked about the challenges. Now it's time for the really fun stuff, those strategies that can take our Mercari game to the next level.
Get ready to level up. In the next part, we're diving deep into pro photography techniques, sourcing secrets, and cross-listing strategies. It's going to be good.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so we've covered the basics of selling on Mercari. We've talked about some of the challenges. And now it's time to get into those, like, power seller strategies, the stuff that can really take your Mercari game to the next level. You ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Let's start with photography, because I feel like this is where a lot of sellers can really up their game. It's not just about snapping a quick pic anymore, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely not. If you're serious about making money on Mercari, you got to treat your listings like a business. And that means investing in good photography. We talked about light boxes before. Those are great. But if you can, consider getting a DSLR camera.
Wow, a DSLR, that's getting serious. But what if I'm not quite ready for that kind of investment? Can I still improve my photos with just my phone?
Absolutely. Even with a phone, you can take amazing pictures if you know a few tricks. First of all, lighting is everything. Try to shoot your items near a window during the day using that natural light.
Okay, so no more blurry pics taken in my dark closet at night.
Right. Natural light is going to make your items look so much better. Just avoid, like, harsh direct sunlight that can create weird shadows. You want that nice, soft, diffused light.
Got it. But what about when it's, like, cloudy or I'm shooting at night?
Well, that's when you might want to consider investing in some artificial light. A softbox or a ring light can really help mimic that natural daylight look.
Okay, so lighting is key. What else?
Think about your composition. The background should be clean and uncluttered. A solid color is usually best. And don't be afraid to get a little creative with props or styling. If you're selling clothes, make sure they're ironed and presented nicely.
It's like we're doing a mini photo shoot for each item.
Exactly. And don't forget about editing. There are tons of great apps you can use to adjust the brightness, contrast, colors, all that stuff. Just make sure you're not, like, deceiving buyers.
Yeah.
The edited photo should still accurately represent the item.
Right. Enhance, don't trick. Got it. Okay, photography check. What else can we do to, like, really step up our game?
Well, here's a little secret. Learn from the best. Take some time to look at the listings of top sellers in your niche.
Oh, that's a good idea. See what's working for them.
Exactly. Look at their photos, their descriptions, their pricing, how they handle shipping. You don't want to copy them directly, but you can definitely get some inspiration and see what strategies you could adapt for your own listings.
Okay, so it's like getting a free masterclass from the pros.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about sourcing inventory from thrift stores, clearance sales, your own closet, but there's another level to this sourcing game that can really boost your profits, and that's wholesale.
Wholesale. Tell me more.
Okay, so wholesale means buying items in bulk directly from a wholesaler or a manufacturer. It takes more money up front, but you get each item for a lot cheaper, which means your profit margin is higher.
So it's a bit more of a risk, but the potential reward is bigger too.
Exactly. You just have to do your research, find reputable wholesalers, and make sure they're offering products that your target market actually wants. And be aware that most wholesalers have minimum order quantities, so you'll have to buy a certain amount of each item.
That makes sense. I'm guessing storage becomes an issue too, if you're buying things in bulk.
Yeah, you'll need a plan for that. But if you do it right, wholesale can be a game changer for your Mercari business.
Okay, so wholesale. Got it. What other advanced strategies should we be thinking about?
Have you ever heard of cross-listing?
Cross-listing. That sounds kind of fancy. What is that?
It's basically listing your items on multiple platforms like Mercari, eBay, Poshmark, Facebook Marketplace, all those places.
So we're reaching a much wider audience.
Exactly. It can really increase your sales. But you got to be organized. The minute something sells on one platform, you got to remove it from all the others.
Oh, yeah, that's important. Don't want to accidentally sell the same item twice.
Right. A good spreadsheet or an inventory management app can be really helpful for staying organized.
Okay, cross-listing, got it. Any last words of wisdom for our aspiring Mercari masters?
One more thing. Mercari is always changing. New features, new policies, all that stuff. So make sure you stay up to date.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Definitely not. The more you learn about the platform and how it works, the better you'll do. Joining some online forums or communities for Mercari sellers can be a great way to stay in the loop and learn from others.
Great advice. Wow, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from setting up shop to mastering those advanced selling techniques.
And you've been a great student. Remember, the great thing about Mercari is that anyone can do it. It's a community of people who love finding and selling cool stuff.
So to all our listeners who are ready to start their own Mercari journey, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
Don't be afraid to jump in and experiment. It's a learning process, but it can be really fun and rewarding. Celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and don't give up.
Love it. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Mercari. I hope you learned a lot. And most importantly, I hope you go out there and start selling.
Happy selling, everyone.